Hallo und herzlich willkommen wieder hier zurück zu Star Trek Online. Beim letzten Mal hatten wir schon die Mission Wendepunkt angenommen. Und die sagt uns, dass unser nächstes Ziel die Khitomer Konferenz ist. Also wollen wir keine Zeit verlieren und es achso, und uns auf den Weg machen. Aber heute ist für euch Mittwoch. Ja, Bergfest heute. Woche ist ja schon wieder fast rum. Ja, jawohl. Nee. Ah, jetzt. Da wollte er bloß eine größere Runde fliegen. Da hinten ist Khitomer schon. Ach, stimmt ja, wir haben ja noch die Beförderungsmission. Ja, egal. Machen wir danach. Nicht wahr? So. Bei mir stehen jetzt Veränderungen ins Haus. Aber mehr dazu, wenn es tatsächlich soweit ist. Cliffhanger und so. Da wisst ihr schon mal Bescheid. Dann beginnen wir mal die Mission.
Khitomer. This place has some bad blood. Back in 2346, the Romulan military launched a massive attack that slaughtered all the Klingon colonists here and took the planet. The Klingons took it back in the chaos after Shinzon's rebellion. This is the first time since then that they've allowed Romulans to be here. We should be careful. The Klingons aren't going to be in a great mood. Just having us here will be a reminder of what's happened. Zatan is waiting for us with the rest of the Romulan diplomats in the Hall of Conquest.
Also gut, dann treffen wir uns mal mit ihm. Aber ich bin ja gar nicht richtig gekleidet für einen diplomatischen. Plaudern. Plaudern wir mal. Wachmann? Nö, der Wachmann hat nichts zu sagen. Spricht ihr mit uns?
Wonder what it takes to be put in the Gallery of Honor.
Tja. Nö. Die schweigen hier auf. Warum sind denn die alle so schweigsam?
Chamber of Conquest. Let's hope one day the Klingons turn their attention to the Tal Shiar.
It's good to see a friendly face. The air here is a bit tense right now. I need to stay here and prepare for Empress Sela's arrival, which I'm sure will not be pleasant. Could you speak with the Klingon and Federation delegations? See what they're thinking. Get a feel for how the negotiations will go, and most importantly, try to convince them of our sincerity.
Was ist mit dem Krieg zwischen der Föderation und den Klingonen? Wie wollen sie uns beide helfen?
Both of them want to learn more about Romulan technology, and they're willing to do a great deal for us to acquire it. We will have to be careful not to get dragged into their war, however. We are already dealing with the Tal Shiar, and that is more than enough. I believe both of them see us as a potential resource. While I'm not terribly happy about that, it is a way to get them to assist us. And until we are established on a world of our own, we need their help.
Verstanden. Wie kann ich helfen?
We're still working on an agreement, but an initial proposal is on the table. The Federation and Klingons will help us establish New Romulus, as long as they can set up embassies on the planet. They wish to use this as a chance to acquire Romulan technology and Romulan allies. We need assistance to create a new world. It's a give and take, one that will hopefully work. You can start by speaking with some of the delegates from the Klingon Empire and the Federation. Just because an initial proposal has been presented does not mean the conference is over. Far from it. Any information you can get me about what they're thinking will help when it comes time to present our case.
Doran, was glauben Sie?
I think we should do whatever we can to stop the Tal Shiar. If that means making an alliance with Starfleet or the Klingons, fine with me. I would be worried about us getting dragged into their war, but I expect that they're both more interested in our cloaking designs than our people. I say we go with whoever is most willing and able to help us against the Tal Shiar. That's all that really matters.
We must be careful not to let vengeance blind us in our attempts for freedom. In the meantime, I would ask you to speak with delegates from the Klingon Empire and the Federation. Just because an initial proposal has been presented does not mean the conference is over. Far from it. Any information you can get me about what they're thinking will help when it comes time to present our case.
Na, dann schauen wir mal, was wir tun können. Ja, der ist gut.
The Hall of Heroes. They're probably Klingon heroes who killed Romulans.
Diplomacy makes for thirsty work. The Federation ambassador can't hold his teeth together for more than a minute. The Vulcan just stares daggers at everyone. Half my delegation are a breath away from ripping into the Starfleeters like rampaging togs, and we're all stuck in here with you backstabbing greenbloods. Oh, did I offend you? Well, get used to it. We don't have a reason to trust you yet, and I don't know if we ever will.
Vielleicht kann ich Ihnen mit Ihrem Durst helfen. So, wo ist er denn? Ah.
I understand their stance, but still, there are issues. The would-be Romulan Republic is weak and fractured. How could an alliance benefit us? Ah, one of the Tan's followers. Greetings. I am Ambassador Satas, representative for the Klingon Empire. I am curious. What exactly does your group have to offer the Klingons in an allegiance? The Tan is no warrior, and Klingon politics have little in common with Romulan machinations.
Ich möchte wissen, ob Sie bereit wären, Ihre Informationen über die Ikonianer mit uns zu teilen.
The rumors are true. The Iconians have returned. Our ships have sighted their vessels in Delta Volanus. And we have heard rumors they have servant races. The Heralds, who serve as their personal bodyguards. A race that lives in subspace, and even one you have already seen. Be wary. The war you fight now may be for more than mere survival.
Wir sind überlebende Botschafter. Wir kämpfen Tag und Nacht gegen den Teil.
You do have a point. The fact that you've survived this long against the Tal Shar says something about your people. However, it does not say whether or not you are in the right in this civil war of yours, or if this is just an elaborate Romulan plot. We shall see just how trustworthy you are in the days to come.
Sie werden in unseren Worten schon bald die Wahrheit erkennen. Ich glaube, dann holen wir jetzt einen Krug Blutwein. Ja. Dann bringen wir dem Klingon mal ein wenig Blutwein. Oh, wir sind bestechen.
Ah, blood wine. At least you have some manners. Nice to know that you all aren't as ill-bred as the stories say.
Was halten Sie vom Friedensvertrag?
Ah! You don't even respond to an insult. Looks like you're on your best behavior. Since we're being diplomatic, I suppose it could be said that you people may not be entirely worthless. But just because you know when to bring a Klingon a drink does not mean we are friends. I'm keeping an eye on you and your kind.
Sehr schön. So, jetzt will ich auch noch mal wissen, wenn wir auf die Beleidigung eingehen.
Ah, blood wine. At least you have some manners. Nice to know that you all aren't as ill-bred as the stories say.
Achten Sie darauf, was Sie sagen, Klingone. Niemand spricht ungestraft so mit mir.
Ah, there's some strength in you. I like that. Perhaps you would be a valuable ally. But just because you know when to bring a Klingon a drink does not mean we are friends. I'm keeping an eye on you and your kind.
Sehr schön.
The Klingons don't seem too thrilled with the idea of being allies. Maybe we'll have better luck with the Federation.
Mal sehen, was wir da ausrichten können. So.
One of our new potential allies. I am Jiro Sugihara, a representative of the Federation Diplomatic Corps. Let's talk, shall we? Yes, I'd love a chat. Now, please don't take the cool reactions of some of my colleagues as an indication of how the whole of the Federation feels. There is a history between our two governments. But I believe with some work, we can all come to a peaceful agreement. Don't you agree?
Ich hatte gehofft,
Of course you do. Of course. Why else would you and other fine and forward-thinking Romulans, such as Datan, be present here at this conference? I like to think of all of us, Federation, Klingon, and Romulans alike, as engineers. We're building bridges to a newer and brighter future. We're architects, designing load-bearing structures upon which we might build vital cooperative efforts. But before we get to the window dressing, of course, you know where we must begin.
Ja, wir könnten loslegen.
Why, with the foundations. You knew that, of course. There's nothing we cannot achieve if we're able to continue to sit down and discuss our differences, and bit by bit, measure by measure, work through them and learn from one another. We must start fresh. So as one potential friend to another, I ask this entirely as a personal question. How do you feel about reunification? I know there are a lot of people in the Federation still opposed to it, but I am certain that if we simply sit down together and discuss the issue rationally, we can...
Wir fragen ihn mal schnell, was die Föderation über die Inkonianer weiß. Der hat das uns nie mehr aufzubabbeln.
Archaeology has never been my focus, but let's see. I believe the Enterprise D helped discover the location of Iconia back in the mid-23rd century. Until then, we didn't even know if the Iconians were real. They could have just been an ancient myth. Their history is quite dramatic, isn't it? Phenomenal power brought low by a mighty coalition of other species, joining together to defeat a common foe. The destruction of the Iconians may very well have been the first war of this type. And well, look at us now, uniting with former enemies to defeat the Tal Shiar. This is a very interesting time in our history.
Danke, Botschafter, wenn Sie mich nun entschuldigen würden. Er war auf jeden Fall sehr enthusiastisch. Ja, das kann man so sagen.
I know your kind too well to ever trust what you say. I will not be taken in by your attempts to be disarming.
Wenn Sie uns nicht vertrauen, warum sind Sie dann hergekommen?
I am here as a representative of Starfleet and an expert on Romulan affairs, and to ensure my companion does not surrender all of the Federation in an effort to build foundations. I have spent more than 3 decades defending the Federation from Romulan plots. I have seen all of the tricks, the deceptions, all of the treachery that is born of hubris. Romulans believe they are superior to all other species. That is incorrect. It will take a great deal of effort to deceive me. I suggest you do not try.
Ich versichere Ihnen, Admiral, das ist keine Falle. So, dann flitzen wir mal wieder rüber zu der Tarn.
Jolan True, what do you have to report?
Ja, dann erzählen wir ihm das mal, was wir rausgefunden haben.
There's doubt everywhere. We will have to be careful not
This
to...
conference is a farce.
Sela!
You're not trying to found a settlement. You're rebelling against your sovereign. You're stirring up dissent with your wild stories of mysterious aliens and colony attacks.
Wild stories?
Until now, I gave your little movement some leeway because I thought I could convince you to see the error of your ways. This ridiculous conference shows me I've been far too forgiving.
You! How could you?
Tovin! That's enough! You two, please leave this to Tamer and me.
Unbelievable. How can that woman stand there and deny everything? If you ask me, the only thing worse than the Tal Shiar is the politician who lies for them. There should be no allegiance with such... Hold on. We're getting a message from the ship.
Na dann.
Picking up odd ships on sensors. Ships that match the one we scanned back when the colony was destroyed. Good. Now they'll have to deal with us, the Klingons, and the Federation.
Na, dann informieren wir mal die Klingonen über die ungebetenen Gäste.
The Klingon command base has ordered us to remain in orbit and leave the defense of Khitomer to them. However, I'm certain that the singularity signature I'm detecting is the same ship that was in orbit of Viranot during the attack. This could be the person responsible for the destruction of the colony. Do we investigate despite the Klingons' objections?
Auf jeden Fall. Aber das machen wir erst beim nächsten Mal. Also am Freitag. Ja, dann wünsche ich euch einen schönen Donnerstag und wir sehen uns Freitag.